This is 62-year-old Dale Williams, who was facing murder charges in Youngstown, Ohio. In June 2017, Williams ran his ex-girlfriend, Elizabeth Pledger Stewart's car off the road and caused it to crash. Williams then shot and killed the 46-year-old mother of two. After his arrest, Williams pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and weapons charges. Facing the possibility of life in prison, Williams appeared at his sentencing, where the victim's two sons decided to deliver some justice of their own. "30-year-old Anthony Dees jumped across the table, evaded deputies, and dragged Williams down by his feet. Then, 23-year-old Jerome Stewart ran over to help his brother, and the two delivered a barrage of punches and kicks to the defendant. As deputies struggled to contain the brothers, one officer pulled out a taser and shot Stewart. Williams was then escorted from the courtroom as he wiped the blood off his face. Finally, the two aggrieved sons were taken into custody. They faced charges of assault, contempt of court, and obstruction of justice. As for Williams, he was later sentenced to 23 years to life in prison for murdering his ex-girlfriend. While Dale Williams was viciously assaulted by the sons of the woman he killed, what happens when a defendant gets attacked by his own son? Like in the case of Vashon Flowers, who was on trial for murder in Muskegon County, Michigan. In May 2019, Flowers allegedly shot and killed his wife Jamie at their Muskegon Heights home after the two had an argument over cigarettes. Initially, the couple fought for more than a day, after which police arrived and separated the two. Flowers left, but hours later he returned, kicked in the door, and shot Jamie 4 times. The 46-year-old then turned himself in and was charged with open murder. Jamie's daughter, Paris, who witnessed the whole incident, testified in court.
He got down on the ground and started choking my mother. Actually, I heard, "You don't have to do this, Vashon. Please don't do this. You don't have to do this." And then I heard gunshots.
Do you recall how many you heard?
4. I got up and I left out of the room. She was sitting straight up against the wall.
Did you observe some blood?
Yes, on her shirt. Gunshots, bullet holes in her shirt, and blood.
But it was Jamie's son who decided to take matters into his own hands. During a hearing, 21-year-old London Jones was seated in the gallery with the rest of his siblings, when suddenly he leaped over the barricade and headed straight towards his mother's killer. Alert deputies were able to tackle him just in the nick of time. Eventually, the grieving son was restrained and removed from the courtroom. Ultimately, Flowers was convicted of Jamie's murder and sentenced to life in prison. While Vashon Flowers faced his son's fury, what happens when a victim's son attacks his mother's killer? We head to Springfield, Massachusetts, where a hearing is underway for accused serial killer Alfred Gaynor. According to reports, Gaynor terrorized the city of Springfield, where he assaulted and brutally murdered 9 women from 1995 to 1998. Gaynor was finally arrested after his DNA matched with evidence from the crime scenes. Now at a hearing, sitting in the gallery was one of Gaynor's victim's sons, Eric Downs. 3 deputies surrounded Gaynor, but it wouldn't be enough for what was to follow.
Mr. Gaynor's being held in extreme conditions of confinement. He's being held without right to bail.
warning, Downs jumped over the barricade and launched into the defendant. Gaynor's sister tried to hold back Downs, but not before the grieving son delivered one final blow. A deputy led Gaynor to safety, while other officers attempted to restore order. Downs
PensionBee has brought pensions into the 21st century. It gives me the tools and services to help me feel confident about my pension.
was later charged with assault and contempt of court. As for Gaynor, he eventually pleaded guilty to all the murders and was sentenced to 8 consecutive life terms. If one brother can cause so much damage in court, then how does it compare to 2 brothers attacking a defendant? Like in the case of 24-year-old Jason Howard, who was facing multiple murder charges in Warren, Ohio. In 2006, Howard was arrested after he allegedly shot and killed his ex-girlfriend, 27-year-old Jamila West, at her home in Columbus before stalking and suffocating her 3 children to death. Now, at a pretrial hearing, things are about to go out of control. Without warning, the victim's brother, 30-year-old Lewis West, attacked Howard and delivered blow after blow on the shackled defendant. Sergeant Phil Eckenrode was the only one standing between his prisoner and the distraught brother.
It was my job to try to protect my prisoner to the best of my ability.
With Sergeant Eckenrode's hands already full, another sibling, 29-year-old Sultan Honzu, dived through the doorway and started hammering Howard. The situation was threatening to go out of hand, but thankfully, Sergeant Eckenrode gained control of the courtroom and the brothers were arrested. They were later charged with assault. Howard was not seriously injured, barring a few scratches. His murder charges were later dropped based on a lack of evidence. While 2 brothers delivered their own version of courtroom justice, what happens when a distraught teenager lunges at the defendant? Like in the case of James Douglas Gonzalez, who was on trial for murder in Mobile, Alabama. Back in 1992, Gonzalez arrived at a party where he reportedly shot and killed 18-year-old Matthew Hall after the 2 got into an altercation. Gonzalez later claimed he shot Matthew in self-defense. During trial, the victim's father, Matthew Hall Sr., and younger brother, Kevin, waited anxiously in the gallery for the jury to return with their verdict. Eventually, the jury returned and found Gonzalez guilty of a lesser misdemeanor charge of criminally negligent homicide. Feeling robbed of justice, Kevin Hall decided to take matters into his own hands. Without warning, Kevin jumped from his seat, leaped over a barricade, and charged at the defendant, landing a punch to his face. His father, Hall Sr., soon joined the melee. It took several officers and onlookers to subdue the 2. Spectators were left shaken. Gonzalez's mother and grandmother broke down. After the attack, the Halls were charged with contempt of court and sentenced to 5 days in jail. As for Gonzalez, he got just 1 year in prison for the murder of Matthew Hall. While Kevin Hall decided to deliver some brotherly justice, what happens when a defendant gets shot in the courtroom? We head south of the border to São José de Belmonte, Brazil, for the murder trial of 38-year-old Francisco Cledivaldo Mariano de Moura. According to reports, in 2012, de Moura shot Francisco Alves at his home in Lagoa Alexandre after the 2 got into an argument over a donkey. Now, a jury session was underway with the victim's 27-year-old son, Cristiano Alves Terto, sitting at the back, while the defendant sat in front of the courtroom. As Terto stood up, he was about to put his sinister plan into motion. Initially, a woman tried to stop Terto, but the distraught son pulled out a .38 caliber revolver and fired 2 shots directly toward Demora, just a few feet away from a juror and an attorney. The rest of the courtroom descended into chaos as the vengeful Terto unleashed another volley of shots at the defendant from point-blank range. Demora ran for his life, desperately trying to seek cover from the hail of bullets. After emptying his 6-shooter, Terto furiously bashed Demora with the butt of his gun. The gun-wielding son then fled the courtroom. He was arrested the following day and charged with attempted murder. Miraculously, Demora managed to stand up behind the judge's desk before slumping to the ground. He was rushed to a local hospital and made a full recovery. While a grieving son almost managed to kill his father's murderer, what happens when a defendant gets chased by the victim's family? Like in the case of Paul Wade, who's at the Jefferson County Justice Center in Louisville, Kentucky for an arraignment. Three weeks earlier, police found the bodies of 26-year-old Edward Smith and 24-year-old Alexis McCrary shot dead in the Russell neighborhood. After going through surveillance footage from the area, they arrested 31-year-old Paul Wade. Wade, who was already out on probation, was charged with 2 counts of murder and possession of a handgun by a convicted felon. Now in court, Wade's hearing was presided over by Judge Ann Haney. She had an 8th grader shadowing her who wanted to be a judge one day. Sitting in the gallery were the 2 victims' family members, who immediately got off on the wrong foot with the court deputy.
Mr. Eggert is retained on
Quiet in the courtroom.
vacation.
Okay, hold on. Ma'am, you're gonna have to leave the courtroom. You have to. I believe you.
We all family.
Okay, y'all got to not
Because I had my
talk.
mask on, they didn't know
Okay.
about blood.
No talking in the courtroom.
Yes, ma'am.
That's all. You go ahead.
After a short disruption, the hearing went underway.
So hold on, I've got someone who doesn't have a lawyer.
Yes.
Since Wade's attorney was not present, Judge Haney rescheduled for a later date.
Do you want an opportunity to hire Mr. Eggert?
Yes, ma'am.
You do.
Yes, ma'am.
You think it's realistic that will happen?
Yes, ma'am.
Then I will give you to November 1st.
As Wade was being removed from the courtroom, he uttered an expletive towards those sitting in the gallery.
Insert there, okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing.
Suddenly, chaos erupted. This triggered a chain of events where several family members hopped over the railing and went after the defendant. 4 of them chased Wade through an open door right behind the judge's bench as Judge Haney and the terrified 8th grader watched helplessly. The judge then hit the panic button and yelled for help. More deputies arrived and used pepper spray to defuse the situation. Even Judge Haney had to step down from the bench to help.
The best thing I can do is just stay calm.
In the end, 4 people were arrested and charged with disorderly conduct and obstructing governmental operations. 2 of them faced additional charges of assault and resisting arrest. While Paul Wade's court hearing totally went out of control, how does it compare to getting punched by the victim's brother? Like in the case of 33-year-old Jeffrey Clark, who's facing first-degree premeditated murder charges in Fraser, Michigan. On July 4th, 2022, Clark shot and killed 28-year-old Jeray Robertson in execution style after chasing him down an apartment complex parking lot.
This was an execution. Just wasn't a murder, an execution. The man was pleading for his life.
A doorbell camera captured the moment Robertson was shot.
As the victim runs for his life, he's now in the city of Fraser.
Clark was arrested after an ankle monitor he was wearing placed him at the crime scene.
Your Honor, at the time, the defendant had a tether on his ankle. We do have the tether records that place him at that location at that time.
At his trial, Clark's girlfriend testified that the defendant threatened her after the shooting.
He proceeded to tell me that he would kill me if I told on him. He told me exactly what he did to Mr. Robertson. He told me that Mr. Robertson begged for his life and that the only thing he was worried about was that he was on tether.
But when the prosecution played a video showing the judge and family members how Robertson was executed, the courtroom exploded.
Man, they gonna see you.
Sitting in the gallery watching his brother beg for his life was Robertson's twin, Jerry, who got into a brawl with the defendant. Jerry also clashed with Clark's father, who was upset his killer son got punched.
You hit him. Man, he killed us. Put him in there with myself. Go ahead. Put him in there.
Best sound, man.
Knock it off.
Best sound. Best sound. Go.
After order was restored, Clark was convicted of first-degree murder, felony firearm, and felon in possession of a firearm. He was sentenced to life in prison with no hope for parole. While Jeffrey Clark was attacked by his victim's twin brother, what happens when a victim's brother charges at the defendant? Like in the case of Tristan Lamoureux, who is facing murder charges in Cedar City, Utah. In 2009, Lamoureux reportedly shot his wife, 19-year-old Misty, several times in the head, instantly killing her. When police arrived, they found Misty's body in the bathroom and arrested Lamoureux after he tried to flee the scene. Instead of going to trial, the 24-year-old pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. Now at his sentencing, Misty's brother Jason Wilson was called to the podium to deliver his victim impact statement. The situation became more and more tense as Wilson spoke about the impact his sister's murder had on his family. An emotional Wilson then turned his attention towards the defendant, even making a step towards him. The court bailiffs cautiously stepped in after sensing Wilson becoming increasingly overcome with emotion. But the grieving brother had other ideas. As the bailiffs approached him, Wilson ran behind the attorney's table and tried to take a swing at Lamoureux. But before he could reach the defendant, the bailiff sprang into action and tackled both Wilson and Lamoureux to the ground. Wilson was restrained and removed from the courtroom. He faced no additional charges. After the dust settled, the courtroom was put back in order and the sentencing continued. Eventually, Lamoureux was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison for his wife. While Tristan Lamoureux felt a grieving brother's fury, what happens when a victim's daughter can't control her emotions in court? Like in the case of 25-year-old Tevin Merriweather, who was facing murder charges in DeKalb County, Georgia. Police said that in June 2019, Merriweather got into an argument with 34-year-old Myron Pierce at a gas station off Glenwood Avenue. The fight escalated into a physical altercation, with Merriweather ending up shooting Pierce several times, instantly killing the beloved father. Now at a bond hearing, Pierce's 15-year-old daughter, Tashia Campbell, was sitting in the gallery as the defense attorney argued on behalf of his client. This is when the distraught daughter lost it.
Daughter couldn't take it.